Welcome to Board Game Archaeologists. We play time-worn games from the past. I'm Hunter.
I'm Rob.
And today we're looking at the New Kids on the Block board game.
New Kids on the Block from 1990 by Milton Bradley for ages 8 and above, 2 to 4 players.
The objective of the game is to get at least 3 portraits of your favorite New Kids on the Block members and return to the finish.
The parts that come with the game is 20 framed pictures of your absolute favorite New Kids on the Block, 4 playing pieces, instruction sheet, which is really just one sheet folded, and a special die that goes up to 7, does not have a 1 or 2 on it, and has a special New Kid on the Block part to it too. And your New Kids on the Block cards that you need to play the game. And the board, of course, with the New Kids on the Block on it.
And to start out, it's pretty simple. You pick a pawn. Everybody gets 1 card to start off with, because you'll always have 1 card with you. And you just roll the die. A lot of the time you'll just get numbers. And movement is pretty simple in the sense that, like, say you move 4, you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could go in a different direction right after that turn. You just can't go back and forth on the same turn.
Right. There's a lot of games we play that have that, where you can move in any direction. I think Mission Impossible was what came to mind that you brought up right away, where you can go in one direction, but you can't backtrack on that direction.
Yeah, and because the only thing that can stop you in that is the concert spaces, where that's one of the few places where you actually use the cards. That and when you roll the New Kids on the Dock block and die.
Die, right.
And so you'll draw a card and compare it with your other one and choose one to use. And these cards come in like 4 different kind of variants. Usually it will be to go to, insert character name here, or send someone else. There's also things like the concert pass that allow you to keep moving through.
Yeah. So if I go by this concert thing, normally you have to stop and draw a card, but this allows me to just say, I want to keep going through. But you still got to pick a card and play this, because you always have to have 1 card in your hand.
And the goal, when you're sent to a person, it's not always as simple as just landing directly on a name. You have to pass through or land on top of the name. So getting sent to Joe, for example, isn't as great as you might think, because you'll have to spend a turn to move away from him and go back to him and through him to actually get the card.
Right, and that was kind of that tweaky part in those rules. It's like every rule has to be vague about something, and that was kind of what bit us in the beginning, and then we reread it and went, okay, yep, you have to do this. But the one thing it does is there's a lot of go cards. So those go cards we had 3 each within 5 minutes, because we were all going there without knowing the rules that we had to get off and get back on.
And collecting, because you need 3 of the
a minimum of
cards.
3, and you got to explain why.
Because once you have the 3, the whole objective is to get back to the finish square and then say that you're rolling to win. And to win, you need to roll a 10 or above. The cards that you get from the boys here all count as 1 point just foundationally. And the highest you can roll is a 7.
So if you have 3 guys, you can go to the finish line and you have to roll a 7. People can move you off with a card, but otherwise you're kind of stuck there and you have to roll a 7. Now, if you're going to take a little bit more time and go through the whole map, get 5 of them and land there, your odds have become a lot better to roll your first chance. But again, people can take you out of the mix really easily by just rolling the dice wrong or landing on a concert.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's the most complicated thing about the game. I think the most challenging thing about this game is when you're going through these portraits, figuring out who is who. Because I don't know how many people are still New Kids on the Block fans, but all these guys look the same to me, and it's really hard to distinguish them.
And it's not just a little bit. I mean, we were spreading them out going, is this Joe? Is this Joe? Is this Donnie? I'm not quite sure. So we go by color of hair, and then it's like, just remember who you won. And then you can count that as a winner. But yeah, they're kind of difficult to tell because 3 of the guys look exactly alike. And they use kind of the same picture and just change shirts and stuff on it. But they have these neat frames, so if you're big fans of the New Kid on the Block, and I know you are, this is a way to get a bunch of little framed New Kids on the Block.
But, not my favorite experience. It had more depth than I thought it was going to. Because when I first read it, I simplified things in my head, just imagining that the instructions were talking to like a slumber party of little girls or something. And so that kind of simplified things maybe too much for me. And once you started noticing the nuances and the rules, it became a different beast.
Yeah, it sure can. And if you're playing with adults, it's a lot different than if you're playing with kids. But it does have a theme and it does have a way to win that makes sense. So game wise, I'd give it a thumbs up as a playable game. Is it a game I'd pull out and play? No, I'd probably pull out King Kong or something like that. But New Kids on the Block. There you go.
Kids on the Block. Well, thanks for watching.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about us, check us out at toyarchaeology.com. You can find us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.